Oh,
Is it in turmoil right now?
shit. No, it's not. We just got the highest weekly candle close on Ethereum ever. I don't want to hear about turmoil.
Ethereum looks good. Bitcoin looks smoked. So, we'll see.
Well, Bitcoin is doing what Bitcoin was supposed to do, which was stay in this fucking range and let us have an alt season.
We'll
That's
see.
kind of what's happening.
There's kind of two.
It's a Solana alt season.
Solana's fucking
For real. Yeah, my soul bag is
Shit is so
feeling
undervalued.
light as a feather. Also heavy, depending on how you look at it. I gotta say, guys, I'm pretty happy with this this range we've been watching on Hero Labs Twitter.
Yeah, it works.
I should trade it. I should have traded it. I don't do much leverage. I just don't like to sleep through leverage. But man, this thing's been fucking smacking.
When you trade when you short term trade those things, you'll catch the high, you'll catch the low, it'll go back up again, you'll get short, and then we'll be at 70,000, and you're gonna be like getting liquidated.
That's the other side of it too, right? Like I've got my thesis, I'm long. I got a lot of altcoins. Some is an understatement, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not good at like taking little shitty shorts in the midst of a bull market.
Yeah,
I definitely don't think it's time to short yet. It's just one of those situations where like the market has cooled off a little bit. It's really interesting. We were watching the Korea premiums, and apparently they were like 20 to 30%, but those have come down a little bit today. Of course, Bitcoin's down at 56,000 about right now. For me, I think that we're bullish as long as we stay above like 54,000. If we started getting below 54,000, I might start being a bit concerned, and not even in the sense that like, holy shit, the party's over, but more of like, okay, are we going to finally see one of those infamous 40% pullbacks on Bitcoin, or like what's exactly going on here? As much as I would hate that, and as much as it would hurt, because we've all gotten used to this, I guess a certain number in your portfolio, it's something that could set us up for some further upside. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. Just nobody wants to fucking buy $55,000 Bitcoin, but you get that shit down at 36,000, and I guarantee you there's a whole wave of buyers waiting to get it.
100% agree with that.
Yeah,
that's why I think that the bear market, if and when it comes, which it will, because this is a market after all, I think the first step towards like the general mass adoption is just a dampering of longer term kind of, like the throwbacks are going to be, the bear market's going to be a slow drift, down 40, down 50, down 35%. And then just like a whole lot of nothing with like real depressed volatility.
Yeah.
And then kind of a, back in business again. But
I'm not too sure because, and I've got the most respect ever for, guys like Suzu, but I don't think I'm a believer in his super cycle theory. And, maybe that's just because I've been here too long. And I've literally every single cycle, people start saying shit like that. And people think that this cycle's the one, this cycle's different. I don't see any reason why it would be. I think that, the next bear market is going to be super, super ugly. We've had a lot of upside here. People have made a ton of money. For me, the most concerning thing is that, the last bull market is going to be institutional buyers were the meme. Oh my God, we're going to get these institutions that are going to come in. They're going to put mega bucks into Bitcoin. This is going to be fantastic. And now we have that situation to where institutions are here, mega bucks are coming into Bitcoin. So after this cycle is complete, like if we do enter some kind of bear market, who's left to buy their bags? What's the next narrative? Is the next narrative, well, even more institutions are coming in now because, this is more amicable, to put, money into it at a lower price? Or is it a situation to where like guys like, Michael Saylor, Elon Musk, like they end up just being the biggest fools ever, buying all of this Bitcoin and it ends up just being the worst decision ever? I mean,
no,
Michael Saylor,
boy, that would suck.
They're just going to be rich. They're just going to be richer.
How bad would that suck for everybody here?
Yeah, dude. I don't know about you. I thought we were
in the Hero Labs news studio. There'd be like a tour one day. We'll be wax figures, these little bobbing heads. What used to be when Bitcoin was a thing.
Yeah. No, we'll just have the lights down and the color off, man. I thought we were going to have a nice little pre-stream banter. Now I got to listen to these no super cycle comments. God damn it, man.
Yeah, I just slapped you in the face with.
For once, I'm this, sitting here like I'm always in here. Like last week, remember, I recall our conversation about Ethereum. I said, nah, 90% we're going to dip first. And then it broke to all-time highs. Now I'm sitting here on dip day, more excited maybe than I've been in a long time. Because I was wanting this dip.
It feels good to have a dip. I agree with that.
After we got that close, I was like, please fuck, give me a dip. And I don't even think this is it. 55. I'm looking at like 53, but oh baby, I'm looking hard this time. I will not miss.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see how we react at that level. And there's a couple of different takes here. I've been talking about these 3 pushes on Bitcoin for a while. We did break that channel to the downside, the uptrend diagonal. We've had a throwback to that level, and now we've been rejected and we're moving to the downside. But I also saw Carpe Noctem, who he's memed because 33K in July. But at the same time, I've got a lot of respect for him as a market analyst. He's been doing this for a long time. And
that dude's smart as fuck.
He's super fucking smart.
I love his shit.
Yeah. Bitcoin is in an ascending wedge. And, what would actually confirm his theory is if, we did see this nice bounce here at maybe 54 to 55. And then Bitcoin would be in a really interesting position. Right now, I think there's a lot of fear in the air. A lot of that is unwarranted. And in retrospect, the fear may be warranted. But until we break that level to the downside, his theory of this, ascending wedge for Bitcoin right now remains valid. And I do think that, this wedge for Bitcoin, you can draw it out to like August or something. And that, I guess, confidence in Bitcoin that, hey, this is what's going on, that lack of volatility on Bitcoin when people finally realize that, we're not having a 30%, we're not having a 40% PV move right here. I think that's what's going to bring about some movement on these altcoins. Really interesting what has actually been moving. And I've been looking at, FTX has some fantastic indices. The 2 that I've been looking at mainly are Shitperp and DeFi Perp. Now, DeFi has been a super strong narrative for a really long time. We had amazing rallies in DeFi from early January to early February. But after that, and I'm in kind of disbelief that this even happened, but this is the reality. After that, all of the money rotated to shitcoins. And if you look at what's in Shitperp, it's things like waves. It's things that a lot of people refer to as dinos. These 2017 coins just had these absolutely massive pumps. Like I said, I didn't even expect that to be something that happens. I think a lot of the reason that did happen was all of those coins were traded on centralized exchanges, and the fees on Ethereum just became so that, it became extremely difficult to actually participate in DeFi or trade these coins. So it'll be interesting, especially with EIP 1559 coming in early July. If we can see people rally around that Ethereum narrative, DeFi and Ethereum are highly correlated. So if we can get, Ethereum really moving, then I think that some of this DeFi stuff will pick up too. But, the question is, what happens in between them? And then how far before EIP 1559 does the market start to price that in?
Yeah. Well, I want to put some context on this current Bitcoin price action so that people can understand perhaps what it is and, more importantly, what it is not. It is not confirmation of anything bearish. In fact, it was written, and we've been talking about it. I've been posting charts on it on the Hero Labs Twitter, never uncertainties, but just like this looks tired. I mean, we came down, range EQ, got up here, got above range, broke back inside, retest. Like this thing has been playing off this range so cleanly, and then after we broke back inside yesterday and then came up in bearish retest, it was like, okay, show's over. Now I'd like to say that confidently, like I traded it. I actually did have some shorts up here on Bitcoin, and I canceled them because I wanted that Bitcoin for some altcoins. But whatever, like this VPVR, just so people know, That's my mating call, by the way. If my
Hey,
You like,
girlfriend's
do
watching.
you
it obviously worked.
pull in and out on your neck when you do that, or
Yeah. No. I know I'm not on camera, and I gotta see that. It's just so look, double distribution is when you have these two humps, couple of boobs on the VPVR, and it really speaks to a lack of price discovery in the middle section here. And VPVRs, like gravity, like physics, they like to be full. They like to have a full range parabola or a single distribution. This has a double distribution. And that was the first hint I had when we got up to these range highs, as I talked about on our Twitter, that this needs to get a revisit, needs to be filled in. And that's great. Bitcoin dominance is plummeting. It's falling off a cliff. It's going to maybe, shift up here, whatever it's going to do. It's going down. So we want, if we're all coin holders and traders, which a lot of us are, we want to see this thing just chilling here. So I'm amazed at how quickly people shit, always referring to Twitter as if that's everyone, but it's just a good sample. And people are just freaking out when things go down 2K. I just blow
I do.
You got to have context.
So
there's the context.
People always say, "Oh, everyone's feeling this way. Everyone's feeling this way." But when people say that, it's really like, "Oh, the little echo chamber that I follow is all in chicken little mode right now."
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No, most of the smartest guys I know, the gem finders, the grease balls that are out there finding the, literally a 20K market cap gem that just went like 200x. This guy's not on Twitter.
Yeah.
a 20K that isn't a BitClout creator coin?
No, literally, I think it's called, Scarcity. It's like the Eye and Beholder.io and the DGen VC guys. They've got this whole ecosystem and this thing called Scarcity. We picked up like 1 trillion of them. And then they finally did like a dilution. Now we have 100 of them. A little disappointing. I wanted to be a trillionaire, but thing just fucking like 120x. It was like a 10 or 20K market cap.
Jesus.
Last October. Anyways, point is they're not on Twitter. These guys, some of the smartest guys I know. Actually, the smartest guys I know are on this panel. How the hell are you doing, Rob?
Oh, that's too kind. I'm good. I'm feeling really good. I'm definitely looking at this market and trying to figure out who's really pushing it around right now. Implied volatility yesterday, and that's like the price of options in general, hit like a 1 month low. We're down 4% today in Bitcoin. That's still an 80% vol move on a daily. Like, it's nothing is here that's ringing the alarm. That's for sure. I think we're consolidating and chopping before the next leg higher. That's what I'm thinking as a bull here. I do. Yeah, go ahead, Dan.
No, just on options, like their pricing, like new highs are by the end of the month are still a little better than a coin flip.
Yeah,
you're still looking at like 56% probability for 62K.
Really
yeah. I don't know what the near term future holds, but yesterday, who would have taken 56 million registered Coinbase users here?
That's insane. And their revenue looked fantastic as well. With this, the IPO is when? The 14th?
Yeah, the 14th, and it's not an IPO; it's a direct listing they're doing.
Interesting.
And
Rob, what's the difference between an IPO and a direct listing?
The direct listing is the new age. It's like the next generation listing where you don't supposedly go to all the investment banks who put together the whole roadshow and get institutions to buy in, and it's just a different process. So it's direct. I think it really.
Are the shares just listed on the ask, and it's just like every man for themselves, or?
That's a good question. I don't know, like on the open, what kind of order matching there is. It reminds me of back when the New York Stock Exchange used to actually, when they'd open stocks and you'd get the opening print where they literally matched everything, and then it would kind of go fully bid from there or fully offered. But I actually do not know the mechanism for the direct listing, like the actual launch. I would imagine they gather all orders for a while, try to balance it out, and then get a print up. But I will do some reading on that.
Yeah, we'll need to investigate that. You know, I've been wondering for a while. You know, a Coinbase IPO is a big deal. It's been talked about for a long time. You know, is that something that ends up being bullish for Bitcoin? Is it something that ends up being a sell the news event? Is it something that ends up being a non-event? You know, maybe is it a sell the news? You know, because the news is pretty much always.
I mean, historically,
that's being front run. Like, I just don't.
I hate to say it. Historically, these are usually like top events. Usually,
I didn't want to say
but
it.
No, I know. We're here to we're just giving the facts. Like,
how many top events have we seen? Dan, you talked about this, how there's going to be, there's going to be new signals for tops. I agree with you. It's this thing like, what was it? The CBOE listing or whatever that one is, CME listing top 2017. That literally marked the top like to a minute. And it made sense fundamentally. You can now sell Bitcoin by the billions, right? What I took away from this is just that it's bullish. It's the biggest on-ramp for crypto in the United States. And they basically just announced we have a fuck ton of money. We're going public and we're putting $1 billion into sales and marketing this year. And they haven't even been really doing a whole lot of that. So talk about normie onboarding. Talk about infrastructure.
I didn't know that. That's insane.
Yeah. I just wrote it in the newsletter this morning, which you can get at herolabs.io. But that is big. $1 billion of marketing and sales, and so I don't like Coinbase personally as a trader. I'm like, fuck Coinbase. Their fees are high. And when I first tried to FOMO in, they said I could put in $250 a week back in 2017. I left them in the dust.
It's not for you though. It's not for you. It's not for Messiah. It's not for us. It is for
that's my point. It's an
the
onboarding
dentist,
mechanism.
the analyst, the guy who is non-crypto that needs the easiest, and at the end of the day, the number one thing they're going to trust most is, okay, I'm in the US. This is FDIC insured. I see it everywhere. I can put my 10 grand, 5 grand, 25 grand on there. It's just, it's trust.
I get that.
That's it. No, that was going to be my point, was that is generally that it doesn't matter if I want to use them as a trader, because they are a champion of crypto. They are putting it in front of more people, and they're offering access to more people in the US, especially than anyone else. So
no, I've actually hated Coinbase for a long time. I started out using Coinbase as an off ramp, in 2017, and I had issues with them, which I'm sure were just due to the load they were experiencing. Where I tried to withdraw some money to my bank account, and I sold some Bitcoin, and they said that they'd put the money in my bank account, and it just never showed up, and it ended up being this huge nightmare. I couldn't get in touch with anybody for support for months. I actually never even got a response from them until I filed a complaint with the CFTC, and then they responded very quickly after that. But ever since then, I've used Gemini for an off ramp, and people complain about the fees on Gemini, but my experience with support there and my experience with just everything fucking working has been fantastic. I don't know how I feel about the Winklevoss twins. They're kind of creepy in my opinion, but that's what it is.
I like them. I think they're champions.
Cool.
I think they're good for the space for sure.
Very good for the space.
Yeah.
How about FTX US? I mean, I think I have to think there is no obstacle stopping them from I think it's just time, and Sam is not going small.
Clearing some regulatory hurdles, and I have no doubt that FTX US will at some point in the future, I would imagine in the next 2 or 3 years, be as big as Coinbase. I'm curious, do they have the ability to do they have fiat on and off ramps?
Yeah.
I might have to.
They're an MSP.
I'm sure their fees are way better than Gemini.
They're going to, I'm sure, just roll the Blockfolio up into it. It's
all there. All the pieces of the
Yeah,
puzzle
after
are
reading-
there.
Stop going up.
After reading about Coinbase this morning, all my takeaway was, fuck, I need more FTT.
It's look at that chart,
That's it.
man.
Yeah.
Yep.
Look at that volume. I mean, it just looks like this slow motion rise, because I've traded it before and I get it. When you're flipping around shitcoins and that's your game, this one doesn't move the fastest.
Because
But
it's
my
undervalued
God,
as fuck. That's the bottom line. Like,
I mean,
Yeah,
if you
but
were
like-
all in FTT though, I don't think you have any complaints right now.
no, not at all.
You know, there's zero drawdown, there's zero pullback. You know, the performance has been greater than 10x. You know, if you entered at the right time. For some people, it's been 20 or 30x, which is just fantastic.
Yeah, and we actually caught this this break to price discovery back in whenever it was, I guess December.
I remember that.
Clean as day.
mhm.
Wow.
Clean as day, and
All you
really
gotta
happy
do is
that that's
hold
where I
your
loaded my
10x
main
and
bag.
You're not
but
drawn down at all.
there it is, right? So no, point being, it's got to be one of the safest kind of holds, because remember the bear market. Who performed well during the bear market? There was one coin,
It's BNB.
BNB, and that's because even in a bear market, people want to trade. That's one thing that doesn't go out of business, no matter what the market condition. Obviously, volatility going down doesn't help, but for the most of the bear market, is volatile as fuck. BNB did really well, and I think FTT could be the next bear market BNB.
Now, I've been, we talked about this, I think, a couple of weeks ago, or this may have even been like a month ago. Time flies, but we actually charted FTT against BNB. I'd be interested in seeing that chart again, and looking at that. I do think FTT has more room for growth, but I think BNB may have outperformed over the last month or two, and I think a lot of that comes from the fact that, they have Binance Smart Chain, which is locked up so much BNB, and then
Yeah.
you have that coupled with the fact that CZ owns pretty much all of the fucking BNB. It kind of creates the perfect storm. I mean, BNB is what, $400 now?
It's crazy, yeah. It's
That's
up
insane.
there.
Yeah.
Just dropped down a bit. I love BNB. I mean, I'm a fan. I don't think it's either or. They're both very sexy coins and very successful businesses, but I think FTX is definitely in better legal waters.
Can you do
So
so?
that's a
Can you
big
actually do BNB USDT divided by FTT USDT, or you can do the other way?
Didn't we
That
do
way,
that on stream once?
Yeah, that's what I was referring to. It'd be interesting to look because like you said, it doesn't. There's not really a huge winner here. I mean, both of these coins are super liquid. Both of them are up huge. Both of these exchanges have seen massive success. But it would be interesting just to see what's up. And I think you've got plus right there. I think you've got to do divided by FTX, FTT, USD.
Oh, there you go.
Plus is,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, what if?
Oh,
Yeah, just go back there and change that plus to. There
Wait.
you go.
no, I did. Yeah. I'm just trying to remember what our chart was on it before. There's no way I could find it. I have too many templates, but
It was too
it
long.
was a Wyckoff throwback. I remember, and we were thinking like, yeah, it was a while back. Fuck.
It's really
It was
interesting.
good though, 'cause
appears
it did
to be-
bounce. I checked it the
not-
next
not
day.
that-
8.8 BNB to
matters,
1
but
FTT right now.
appears to be at resistance. Yeah, around 8.5 FTT per BNB.
I
When,
So
when
this number
FTX
goes
so
up
fully
and
divided-
FTT
so
gets stronger.
Circulating supply puts Binance at 40 billion.
What is the valuation of Binance right now? Let me check CoinMarket.
I haven't even looked, but I know that FTT is about 5.5 billion.
BNB is at number 3 right now, which I think is well deserved. And we're looking at a market cap of 56 billion. Now, I've heard a lot of people speak about, BNB flipping Ethereum. I don't think that's realistic whatsoever, and I think that conversation in itself is top things, for BNB. It'll be really interesting, in my opinion, even if this Coinbase event, ends up not being a major market top. I think it's really interesting to see all of these exchange coins have pumped so hard into this Coinbase IPO. I'm wondering if that's going to be some kind of top for the exchange coins. Looking at BNB, there's definitely momentum exhaustion. Looking at FTT, we could be working on push number 3 right now. And I mean, who fucking knows? Maybe FTT just goes to $200 and doesn't give a fuck.
There's no reason it can't or shouldn't.
I mean, when it comes
what's
to
market cap
FTT,
of
I like the
FTT?
basket.
FTT is at a $4 billion market cap right now. So there's plenty of room for growth, especially
It's at
when you consider-
$5.5 billion. Yeah.
CoinMarketCap has it listed incorrectly. When I'm looking at FTT and I see the market cap below Tezos, below Bitcoin SV,
Yeah, that's just
below Aave, that's stupid. It doesn't
Totally
below
stupid.
BitTorrent, EOS, VeChain, makes zero sense.
Are the BSV guys just buying up the whole supply? Is that who's holding that shit? Why is that thing still? Why is that thing still up there? I still like.
Well, I mean, you've got a billionaire trying to prove a point. I guess that's part of it.
Rob, remember were we in Taiwan or South Korea where there was a BSV party going on in some hotel that we had walked through, and the karate kick guy walked out?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah. The man.
What's his name?
Practice one kick 10,000 times. Kevin.
Oh, Kevin Pham.
That's Messi's boy.
He was there. He can't. It was so fitting. We were like, "Holy fuck!" There's a BSV party going on over there. It was like some
To be
banner.
honest, I
And the
like
first guy that
following
walked out
Kevin
was
on
Kevin.
Twitter. I like following Kevin on Twitter. He's kind of lost his marbles recently, but that's what makes him such an interesting follow. His takes are sometimes very bad, but they're very entertaining.
Smooth brain takes.
Yeah, kind of smooth brain, and some fucking like archaic views of the world and stuff as well. But
I think that this space is going to continue that pattern of there's just some comps when you look from one coin to the next and you look at network value. There's just some stuff that I don't know. It can remain irrational longer than we can remain sane and solvent. That's for sure.
100%.
I mean, I'm not going to get in there and put on the BSV perp short against the FTT long. Who fucking knows what can happen on that thing? But the bottom line is, I guess when you have a coin that you love and it's real with real users, real value accruing to the network, and you see that it's much cheaper than a lot of other turds out there, I feel really good about getting in heavy.
Much of our narrative, Rob, when Rob and I had been on it and big fans of it for since it came out, but you really just have to think, like when somebody like Blade Runner mentioned in the YouTube chat, like SBF over CZ, like that, your position you're taking is on Sam. That's it. And do you believe he is the next generation of like what will be leadership in crypto? And he already is. No. And he's a young guy, and he is as aggressive and as smart and as relatable as they come. Like on a business to business basis, there is nobody better to do business with in this entire industry than Sam. I can say that for fact.
How old is Sam? Is he 28 or
29 years old? I think. Yeah, that's something insane. Like that.
Yeah, I definitely think I trust Sam more than CZ. And I've got a BSV chart pulled up and on my computer right now. I can't tell if it's about to gigasend or if it's just perpetually sideways.
Apparently, I was charting it for someone on stream because I had this set up. I swear I'm not long in this shit, guys, but she was.
She's doing okay. What is up with that?
Look at it. I mean, don't look too natural, but I've seen a lot more charts and a lot more signals from Twitter and everywhere that both BSV and Bcash were like ready to get sent.
I think there is these
better than
very focused. I mean, I had somebody I know in the U.S. like texted me a week ago, and he was like asking me about XRP, and I said literally like, don't text me about XRP, please. And he kind of was like, well, he's like, there's this Facebook group that's been like talking about it like crazy that it's going to pump. And they were they were right actually. But
I mean, look, all of those coins pump super hard. BSV, BCH, XRP. You know, the more you hate it, the more it pumps, and unless it's Zcash, and that's just never going.
Yeah, totally. You know what? I think just where I'm at in this industry, it's just I'm so much more interested in getting my real capital behind things that I see, like, where is this world going in 7 years from now? And then that way I can feel good about just adding to dips and having a core position to kind of gamma trade around. And
it absolutely is going the way of crypto. And, I think even DeFi, I recently had an experience where, I bought this car. So I had to transfer money from Gemini to my bank account. And they've always been very fast on the transfers. I initiated the transfer on Friday and the money showed up on Tuesday morning. But even then, I mean, there's no reason in the world, in 2021 that I should have to wait 3 or 4 days to transfer money. It makes absolutely zero sense. Surely there's a better way to do this. Surely there's a better technology. And there is. We're proving this technology right now. Seeing companies like Visa saying that they're going to be using USDC for settlements, I think is the first step towards that future, to where even if it's not a business day, even if it's the weekend, I can maybe say, hey, I want to withdraw money from my account on Friday and get it on Saturday. That's just how it should be.
You're so right.
Fucking 20 years ago,
Messi, you're so right. And it's even just with us kicking off Hxro Network and just starting to work in a decentralized capacity on that project, it just, the amount of friction that gets cut out from the technologies that are the right technologies that are being built is so incredibly liberating that you don't want to go back to traditional ways of doing things ever. Because in the traditional world, when you're doing things like needing to move money to buy a car, it is so fucking ridiculous.
It was ridiculous
how friction laden it is, how unnecessary it is, right?
This car, what I had to do to get the money to buy the car, I had to go to the bank. I had to, wait in fucking line. I had to talk to the lady behind the counter. I had to get a cashier's check. The manager had to come get involved because it was a large amount. That's fucking ridiculous.
Did he slightly pull a hair out of your head?
He did. He did
put it in a plastic bag.
He did ask me if he goes, oh, are you maybe that's quite a large amount. Are you making a down payment in a house or something? And I was like, no, I'm actually buying a car.
No, but I made it buying shitcoins.
Yeah.
Uniswap.
It's so funny you bring this up because I picked up that Audi earlier in the year. Super fired up about that. I was driving a Civic, and I had the exact same experience. It was the first time I was like, gotta go to the bank. She's like, oh, I'll have to get the manager to sign. It's $13,000 down payment. I'm like, what the fuck? Give me that USDC transfer, bro. I'll see you in 8 minutes. Nobody's involved. She had to walk around the kiosk across the bank. And at that moment I went, these guys have no fucking chance. There's just no way that what crypto's offering is not going to become the de facto method of doing everything they were trying to do.
I mean, the writing's on the wall right now. It's just a matter of time. I think anybody that's used any of these technologies, even if you are, an early user of DeFi and you've experienced, on Ethereum, which used to be fucking awesome, during DeFi summer, become something that's terrible. Even looking at all that, this DeFi stuff is right now, is it just a bunch of Ponzi's for the most part, and right now is everything incentivized, gamified? Yeah, for the most part. But at the same time, that experience is fantastic. I can imagine a future to where, you do have control of your own assets. They're on chain and, you want to get yield on those assets, and there's ways to get yield everywhere. You've already got decentralized funds that you can deposit those into. You've are going to have yield packages that are available, to where a company, or not a company, but a DAO like Hxro Network can take that capital and can put together a package for you, and within your risk tolerance, and can kind of manage that whole thing for you. For me, it's inevitable that is the future that we're going to. And I think everybody here that's watching this, being so early, the onboarding experience is going to be so easy. The UX is still terrible when it comes to DeFi. It doesn't matter what chain you're on. If you're on Ethereum or Solana or Binance Smart Chain, it's got a long way to go. But at some point, it's going to be indistinguishable between, you know, what you do right now on your bank's website or something like that, or in your Cash App, or, you know, those kind of things, and, you know, just being this entirely like on-chain experience that
100%.
you have no fucking idea you're even using Solana. You know, it's going to be cool.
Which is one of the best parts of Solana, in my opinion. Like, already the things that we're, you know, building and bringing into alpha now, like, and some of the more ambitious stuff that, you know, we'll be talking about in the next couple of weeks. Solana makes it possible, and what I mean by possible is, hey, we're not building something that we know looks broken as fuck and like is unusable, but it's really just this like lab experiment. It's like, no, this is like groundbreaking, change the world, change the way certain parts of traditional finance is being done, and deliver it in a commercial way. And that ultimately is what I feel like that's where you got to be in the next, you know, 7 to 10 years. Like, networks that are built on top of other networks, you kind of want to invest up the stack and be in things that have legitimate. It's not even about like the product being out today. It's about where it's going to go, who's behind it, and, you know, what it's going to do to disrupt the world.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, Dan, I remember we were having a conversation a couple of days ago, you know, and we were talking about scalability and such. And, you know, it came up that apparently Solana's blockchain is already 9 terabytes.
That's right.
You know, I am interested if they're going to be implementing some kind of pruning, or, you know, I'm wondering, and I know for a fact that they have something in the works, because these guys always think of everything. But, you know, at 9 terabytes, it does make it difficult for people to run nodes and things like that. You know,
some of the, you know, one of the teams that we're working with, you know, was talking about like the Arweave integration being very meaningful, in the sense that it'll make it super easy to if you want to run a full Solana node, for example, to, you know, to download the blockchain almost instantaneously. So,
and I'm wondering too, you know, because certain like Bitcoin clients and things like that, you know, are headless, and they don't take up as much space as that 100% full node. You know, I'm wondering if Solana is going to have something like that, to where, you know, I can run, you know, a mini node or a partial node, or, you know, I can participate in that network without necessarily having to have this massive storage bandwidth. You know, and that would help, of course, with decentralization.
I mean, running a validator node is a compromise right now. That, you know, I think we're all about solving problems, not about compromising. So.
Right. 100.
Yeah.
You got ID pulled
What's
up?
going on with Solstarter, guys? I'm so bullish on Solstarter, this Solana
So
Polka
all
starter.
of those starters has seemed to do really well. I know, you know, Crypto Nico Z has been working on that. So, you know, I'm sure we'll be hearing more about that soon. I'm definitely going to be talking to him in Miami about that. You know, see.
Sober, of course.
That's probably going to
sober.
come out with like a 200x floor. I want to crash the gate on it because I didn't get into the pre-sale or anything. But man, it's on my radar. I don't know anything about it though. You go to their website, it's just like a page.
Was there a pre-sale?
There was some kind of thing.
Private
Yeah.
round.
Yeah, like
Really?
I know some funds that were invested that got in. I was like, no, they're like, no, it was too tight, bro. I was like,
Thanks,
sorry.
Z.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. Call up Nico when you get down there. Be like, I know you got a ticket, bro. Give me that
Let me get some of
bottle
that shit,
service
bro.
tonight's on you.
Totally. Should ping him before we get down there. Yeah.
Should kind of be like, don't bother showing up, bro.
Yeah, no, that was a tight one. I tried to hit it from every angle. There was no access.
Man, the way you're speaking right now, Colin, like I can just make so many innuendos. Like I picked up on that like a minute ago. You know, it's so tight. You can hit it from every angle. There wasn't much.
Yeah.
There wasn't any space left for me.
I have to like manually like try to turn off the "that's what she said" and all these comments.
Dude, I totally identify with that, because that's exactly how my brain works.
I literally have to try to turn it off.
Does every normal human male brain kind of work that way?
Is that normal, or
I think, yeah.
Yeah,
Regardless of your orientation, it I would think 9 times out of 10, it's very like, it's almost Maslowian in a way. Like, it either goes to sex or food or survival, right?
I assumed I was abnormal, but here's one thing I'm noticing more and more, and I want to get your guys' take. But so there are some legit boomers from traditional finance who I've been seeing get pretty vocal about crypto. One being Mark Cuban, who we all, I think he's a cool dude, and he's just smart as hell and as successful as it gets. Another guy that I'm seeing like making the rounds on TV and stuff is Anthony Scaramucci, who has a pretty storied career in the fund world and has been really successful. But these boomers, they're pounding the table on ETH. That is like a theme that is consistent. And it's more than just like pounding the table. It's like, yeah, we like Bitcoin. We love Bitcoin. Bitcoin's great and all, but ETH is going to be the true store of value. ETH is where the magic happens. ETH and ETH and ETH.
ETH, by the way, we bought it at $1,800 and $1,900.
Here's
and we didn't own it earlier because we weren't allowed to. So now that we do, like, you guys need to buy it from us.
Here's the thing: EIP 1559 is implementing a deflationary monetary policy on Ethereum, which makes Ethereum really interesting. I agree with Mark Cuban that Ethereum is better money than Bitcoin, and now you've got this deflationary monetary policy, and I'm wondering if that makes Ethereum a better store of value than Bitcoin as well. I don't know how long it's been since you guys have sent a Bitcoin transaction, but that shit takes forever. It takes so fucking long, and even then, it's still too expensive. Even though the fees aren't $200 for a Uniswap trade level, but it's still too expensive to be practical. If I wanted to send $20 to my buddy because he, bought my McDonald's yesterday, like I can't fucking do that. The transaction fee is just as much as the amount of money I'm trying to send. So it's going to be really interesting. I followed this guy on Twitter called Crypto Quant or something like that. And, his takes are kind of controversial. I don't know why people don't like him, but, some people seem to not like him. But he's been commenting on the amounts the outflows right now on Ethereum from exchanges are just insanity,
Yep.
And in addition to that, we have this huge lockup effect where you've got a lot of the Ethereum supply actually locked up in smart contracts, whether that be for staking on Ethereum 2.0 or whether that be, in some kind of liquidity application or DeFi lending or something. But we've got these huge outflows in Ethereum. We really haven't seen a major rotation into Ethereum yet. Most of Ethereum's upside, I think, has been a byproduct of Bitcoin's upside. So it's going to be really interesting to me. And there's even a camp out there that just thinks that this is Bitcoin season. This isn't time for Ethereum to go. But it's going to be really interesting to see if Ethereum can take that center stage, because, on one side of the coin, you've got Ethereum, which really hasn't had its own mega rally. But then on the other side of the coin, it's like, well, if you think fees are fucking bad on Ethereum and Ethereum DeFi now, like, we're talking $4,000 Ethereum, that shit just becomes straight up ridiculously unusable. And I don't really see that going away anytime soon. But, just looking at the charts and narratives aside, I do think that the Ethereum chart looks far superior to the Bitcoin chart. If I was looking to come in right now, or let's say if my grandpa or my father asked me and he was like, hey, I want to get into crypto, the first conversation that I'd have is, well, you're a little late to the party, bud. But, if you have to get in and you don't want to take any huge chances or huge risks, you want something that's liquid, you want something that's super mainstream, I think that I'd point people like that to Ethereum all day at this price point.
It's,
as you're talking, go ahead, Rob.
No, you bud. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying, I set up this chart, and as you're talking, man, this thing just looks so bullish. Look at the Ethereum weekly right now in reference to like this SR.
How can it be that bullish when it's already so unusable in its current state? I unstaked some Bancor today to buy $325 Rook because I think this is a steal, and a good friend of mine that was one of the largest holders finally had enough and capitulated. So I'm like, hey, it's time for me to, it's time for me to get my dick wet here. And like, I need to get this bag bigger. I believe in it longer term. But every fucking time, I unstaked like multiple transactions from Bancor, and every single one cost me 0.3 Ethereum, which is $600 to my fucking money out of the contract.
No, it's terrible. I actually just spent 2 days transferring all my ETH assets to a new wallet for like a corporate, I'm incorporating next year and all this shit. I spent $2K all told, because I had to do at the end. I was like, where'd all that ETH go? It was like a full ETH just missing. So I feel you. But look at this chart, because this is about speculation, and it's speculation of what ETH will be worth, where ETH is going. And nothing about it is like, it's not dope. It's the cost and the speed. And if you can then sit there and say, well, they have plans to fix that. The smart guys who are smart enough to create this thing, well, they now say, we're going to, you gotta price that in.
Something that could pop up, and something that, I haven't thought about too much, but there's been a lot of discussion around advancing the Ethereum 2.0 timeline and going ahead and turning that proof of stake network on, way ahead of what the original schedule was for that. So, I'm curious, do we end up in a situation to where all of a sudden they flip that ETH 2.0 switch in 6 months from now, and all of the pain, for Ethereum, all of these pain points just kind of evaporate? It's something I'm going to do more research on, but I think that could be a game changer for Ethereum. And I also think that, if you look at what exactly has moved, extremely hard from early February until right now, we're looking at things that, a lot of them are Ethereum killers. And those things have been allowed to pump so hard because the narrative has been that Ethereum sucks, Ethereum isn't scalable, fuck Ethereum, I'm going to Binance Smart Chain. And I don't blame anybody for having that attitude. It's not the attitude I have, because I'm just not in a position to worry about those fees. But for the vast majority of people, I can see like they're like, hey, I want to have this experience, but fuck Ethereum, like this is ridiculous. Like I'm not going to be subjugated, to this experience.
It's kind of absurd, actually, how casually I was paying an $80 fee yesterday. And not because it's like, Mr. Moneybags, I don't care. I'm so desensitized to it now. I was like, okay, I got to move 20 different altcoins into this new wallet, and I can't really trade again until this shit is sorted. So I was just like, fuck it. It happened to be the worst day. Price dumped. I was like, are you kidding me? The fees shot up. But
I think what those fees hurt more than anything else are, these decentralized exchanges, these AMMs. If you look at Binance Smart Chain and you look at the volume that they're pumping out and some of their AMMs, it's just insane. But they can have the same fee structure as Uniswap or Bancor or SushiSwap. They can have comparable fees and do 10 times the amount of volume. And that's just because right now you can't really bot super hard. You can't do any kind of, even medium frequency trading on Ethereum. If you want to be a trader in Ethereum and you want to access this DEX liquidity, it's kind of like, hey, I'm going to come in, I'm going to pay the fucking fee, I'm going to get my bag, and then I'm going to hold it for a couple of months. And then I'll be paying another fee in a couple of months when it's time to get out. It's not like the situation where you can say, hey, it's definitely a local top here. I'm going to take my chances and I'm going to scalp this, and, I'm going to hopefully buy lower and get a bigger bag. And like, you just can't do any of that.
No, it's not that fun. And what's interesting to me is I've been doing a lot of work with people, obviously in crypto. You work with people around the world. You just jump on a call with a guy in Asia. You're like, oh, hey, how's it going? It's all this one town thing. But what did he ask to be paid in last week? TRX.
Really?
Yeah, I was sending him USDT, and I said, I'll send it, what's your ERC20 address? He's like, no, send it to like TRC or whatever their protocol is. Now, thankfully, it's like FTX. Shout out to them, because if you stake a certain amount, it's free withdrawals. So I didn't care anyways, but people are transacting. So you got to act like when actual business is taking place in the real world. This guy's from Asia. I'm paying him $100. Like, he doesn't want a $30.
Did you guys have any clue that, because I think somebody found his wallet and tagged it, but did you have any idea that Justin Sun is a multi-billionaire? because
I didn't. I knew he was rich. I figured 700 million kind of thing. I didn't think
he is
multi.
filthy ass mega fuck you rich. And I actually saw this thing where Peter McCormick was at a bar with Justin Sun, and I think Romano tweeted this video out, and he kind of cornered him, and he was trying to kind of push his buttons and poke him. But Justin Sun came across as so fucking just cool. They were like, what is TR, what is Tron? And Justin Sun was like, it's a fucking shit coin. Like,
yeah, no, like, he was cool. I remember watching that video. He's down to earth.
Yeah, he's super down to earth. He knows the ticket. He knows the drill. So,
well, I'll tell you what, I'm a little sad. The same reason I don't buy things like BSV and then I regret it. I charted this on one of their videos like 2 weeks ago for like the alt season 2.0 ? Because Justin, JST was right down here just breaking out. And then you got Sun, you got coins for each part of his name, was right down here just breaking out. And then you had TRX sitting down here. And oh fuck, man, it went even harder. I didn't even look. And I literally said, I was in that video, I was like, don't be surprised if you see all the Justin Sun names break out together and go fucking hard. And I'm sitting here now like, yesterday I was like,
TRX went so fucking hard in such a short period of time too.
Yeah, there's no scenario, like you said, he's a multi-fucking billionaire. There's no scenario in my mind, and it's so easy to say now, but even like making that video, I'm like, there's just no way this bull happens and all three of his coins don't go all fuck you.
There was some other coin on Binance too. I had never heard of it. It may have started with the W, or I might just be making that up. But it was
wasn't it like Win or Wink or something?
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Wink.
It just went absolutely bat shit. Like I've never seen a chart like that. Like it was straight up. Is this no? Because that's on.
Yeah, Wink, Win.
There, yeah, that is Wink. Tether. Let's check that chart out.
Yeah,
That's something to behold.
That's just 6 to midnight.
But people like to talk about pumps. Pumps like they're this conspiracy. Most of this price action that we're seeing, we can call it a pump, but in my day, in 2014, if you guys have ever read God.pdf, pumps were they were a conspiracy. Like you had a group of whales, they were accumulating low, and they would just pump the shit out of things. 20, 30, 40, 50x. I still remember Blackcoin and Mintcoin both went like 50 or 70x in a period of 2 or 3 days. Back in the Mint Pal days, like that's a pump. Yeah. Like if you want to talk about, what a pump is, whereas,
this is just a really aggressive rally.
Yeah, that's just a really aggressive rally. A pump is when something goes fucking 20, 30x in, a period of 1 to 3 days. And I don't know how it even happens, but there are people out there that will watch their shit go 50x in a period of 2 days and will still sit there and say, yeah, it's undervalued. It's going to go another 2x. Like, bro, if you get a 50x in a 2-day period, the only thing that I'm going to be doing is fucking hitting that sell button. And I mean, not hitting it, smashing it.
Breaking the mouse. Yeah.
It's unbelievable what Justin Sun has been able to do. I mean, listen, we're based here in the West, and the story you just told about the guy who wanted Tron, you can't blame him. If he doesn't want to pay fees, I think Tron is it's a clone of ETH, right? I mean it's
I know it's EVM compatible. I need to do more research on that. I'm not 100% sure. Is it a direct clone or what? But I would be interested in seeing, a direct comparison of Tron to Binance Smart Chain, because I think they share some of the same criticisms, which is the centralization aspect. Right. But what a lot of people don't realize, it's very, very, very difficult to have a highly decentralized network that's also cheap and lightning fast. People, want to joke on Ethereum all day, but at the same time, Ethereum is so expensive because it is so decentralized. And people will say, all the nodes are on AWS. Well, that's not what I mean. I just really mean like a diversity of nodes. And, not only maybe they're on AWS and other cloud providers, but, there are people running Ethereum nodes on their own hardware as well.
Daniel, have you looked at Avalanche at all?
I haven't, but I've heard a lot of buzz around it, and a lot of people are saying it's possibly the best of both worlds. When it comes to speed and also decentralization. And I don't know how to pronounce that motherfucker's name, and then Gunsberg, or whatever he is, but he's a Cornell professor, and he's absolutely brilliant.
The gunslinger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had the same guy. Guy in Chicago who's like an OG crypto guy who told me about that was his pick to click. He said, there's a lot of people who think that the Eamon Gunsire is Satoshi.
Really?
But yeah, that's what he said.
Shh, don't say that.
I know.
That might be the hottest
I
little
haven't heard that theory.
alpha leak.
What if though? What if Satoshi is somebody nobody has really ever even made a theory about? Like,
I know it's hard to even fathom, right?
Go
ahead.
Back in the day, when I first doxed, it was to be the community manager for Decred, and we're talking. These guys are mega Bitcoin OGs. These guys are hardcore cyberpunks. And I remember we were having conversations about who is this Satoshi guy? And I asked them, do you guys, because they've been on the, OpenBSD forums for a long time, and all of these mailing lists, they were on all the same mailing lists and did a lot of the same things as some of these super, super early Bitcoiners. And one really interesting theory I heard was the fact that no one has been able to actually dox who Satoshi is absolutely insane. After
that is pretty impressive.
That he was able to hide himself so well. So one of the theories was that it could be some kind of CIA black box project, and that would be the only way. I forget whose opinion it was, but the guy I was speaking with, he said that would be the absolute only way that this guy would have been able to hide his traces that well, or this team of guys would have been able to hide their traces that well.
I heard similarly that if it was a group or a team of people, that it would be very, very highly unlikely that it would be kept a secret, because you start bringing in the probabilities when you get multiple people involved that it can stay confidential.
There's a leak in the dam. It's harder and harder to plug it.
You guys are blowing my mind right now, because I never really thought about this, but it is staggering how much value is locked into this. The participants, the incentives to some extent to expose such a person. Presumably a lot of whoever would love to fucking find out who it is, whether that's government or this or that. And that we have no idea, and nobody was around when it was being created. That's like, oh yeah, I know the guy. He was telling me about his project he was working on.
Honestly,
like, not one.
If it is a CIA black project, I think that's the best possible case scenario for Bitcoin's longevity and continuity, because every so often the concept of money is redefined and money is reinvented. The last reinvention, of course, was when the dollar, we ditched the gold standard. But even then, the advent of paper money was a convenience, because at a certain point, carrying around coins was just a huge pain in the ass. And even then, before coins, people had barter and trade. I'll trade you these cattle, for your food or for this or that. So the question becomes, right now, our current monetary system, which is largely debt-based, right, it's due for a renewal. So, is there something to this? Is Bitcoin, going to be a major reserve asset? I don't think that if it's not a CIA black project or something like that, I think the chances of it becoming a reserve asset in any sense are close to zero. But if it is, the chances of that happening increase substantially.
Are you giving too much credit to the CIA and that they honestly have the brains and to pull?
They absolutely do.
You think so?
Absolutely do. We're talking about people with access to resources, far ahead of when other people get access to the same resources. Some of the most brilliant minds in the world work at these government agencies, CIA, NSA.
Yeah.
What a fucking takeover it would be with like global currency wars, economic wars, all these wars. And you just like ninja create this little hacker under the radar currency and manage to let it turn into a world global reserve. And then
work its way in everywhere.
Right. And it takes over every currency. It just becomes this backbone fucking thing. And you just own whatever Satoshi's wallets hold. And then this, US government comes out and is like, yeah, bitches, that's us. Or any other little country could have done it. Like, it's going to be.
That's us. And by the way, the dollar is now backed by the power of BTC, the greatness that is Bitcoin.
Or whatever. Like, what if it was some little shit, like tiny little island country? Like, could have been hackers anywhere. Like, it kind of got me thinking now. Man. That weed drink guys, I drank pre-stream, Rob's hitting me, bro. And now you guys are blowing my mind.
I wanted to just mention this. We've got 244 people watching. We have been streaming for an hour. We try to keep these episodes at about an hour, so the content is good. It's easy to digest. We only have 42 likes, and I know this is mega cringe and like a YouTube thing to do, but please hit that like button. It really helps us out in our search engine algorithm optimizations and all that kind of shit. If you are enjoying, we would really appreciate you hitting that thumbs up.
Fuck that, man. Hit us with a sub. God damn it. It's free.
Yeah, subscribe. Should we hit
I started subscribing now to channels. I never used to, admittedly. I'm like, well, floating around. They're always like and subscribe. And I was like, oh, cool. Like someone else will. Like, I just do it now because I get it. People work hard. They put this out. Us in particular, it's completely free. We're not really selling anything. Like, get in there.
Should we take some chart requests? I see you pulled up the AVAX chart when I mentioned Avalanche. I'd personally like to see, because that thing, it's been really kind of consolidating here after the blow off top when it fucking roofed to over $60. I mean, I'm literally sitting in my living room. I remember it was around New Year's or Christmas, one of those holidays, and I'm looking at my AVAX bag, and it was like sub $3. Yet there was this one whale on Binance who would go up and just ape into it and create the space needle on the chart, but it would immediately get slammed back down. He'd go buy like several $1 million worth, and then they'd smack it down. So I start watching all the other coins, the polka dots and everything start pumping, and my poor little AVAX bag was sitting at $2.90 offer on Binance. And then that thing just epic sort of pump. But now, I mean, are we in the pump chaser zone, Colin? Like what?
Yeah.
Where are we?
Yeah, man. Well, look, this is one as you're talking to, and I got to remind myself to keep an eye on this because I was a little butthurt through this because you and I spoke about this all through the lows, and so I am watching this very closely. Long story short, this is a consolidation range that could prove to be the staging ground for a very big leg on AVAX.
I'm all about those big legs, bro.
Especially if, you want to get those big legs, especially if, what's his face, the founder turns out to be Satoshi. Now, for fun, how much would this pump? Give me a number. If the Satoshi, like that wallet, signed a transaction and just said buy AVAX.
I mean, anything.
Just say that happened.
Hey,
what do you think?
All of the Bitcoin maximalists would be triggered beyond belief, and aside from the pump, which on anything is nice. I love seeing that. They've gotten so, in my opinion, the purists have gotten unbearable recently. And, a lot of that is cockiness. Because Bitcoin's gone up. Ethereum hasn't. It's outperformed Bitcoin, but it hasn't. Outperformed Bitcoin to the extreme. And there's a lot of shit talk going on right now, and a lot of non-believers. So I definitely would love to see that. But the pump, we're talking immediately, probably like 20x, like straight up.
We got Blade Runner, who's he's a longtime follower. What's up, Blade Runner? He's looking for Solana and Serum. He just dropped in there to see if we could throw a chart up. I'll tell you what. Solana today is showing Superman strength with altcoins down 5 to 15%. I mean, my alt USD watch list is just bloody red, and there are a few standouts with Solana today. It's just like someone's just in there.
Hitting the bid, man. I didn't even see that. That's
straight
awesome.
Up only.
This thing's about to cash in, man. We're about to pull the fucking register on this guy. Not like long term. I've got my bag, but I took a trade on this breakout and
Congrats, man. You're getting close.
fucking
Yeah.
it's getting
What do we look at on a chart like this one? We're already through all resistance on the USD chart. We're in price discovery. What do we use? Fib extensions?
What are the chaos levels on that?
Yeah, let's take a look at chaos. You know what? I'll switch to a cleaner chart. We'll just get it up fresh. Because that's exactly what chaos is for. That's the best part about it, is now that we've got this little consolidation here, there's two that I could just say I would draw off this, and that's to try the right with the middle, and then you can even take the lowest with the highest and decide, and then see what it lines up with other stuff. And if you get lots of confluence, it makes it a little stronger. But we've now got new all-time highs on the daily for volume. So whatever this push ends up being, high probability it's not the top. You almost never, I want to say never, like I've been around 30 years, but in my experience, the highest level doesn't come in on the new high volume. It comes in on exhaustion. So this is looking fucking great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
People are asking about KNC. One of the interesting things is with Uniswap, they are abandoning a lot of the composability, that has allowed Uniswap and DeFi to thrive for UniV3 in exchange for greater capital efficiency. The ability to actually provide liquidity within a specific range. KNC, I believe, with their Kyber 3.0 protocol, has done something very similar to that. But it is interesting to see, these DEXs shift towards higher capital efficiency. They're going after a different kind of liquidity provider. They're going after institutions. They're going after people that can actively manage these liquidity positions. So it's really interesting. Part of me is like, we've already tried that. We had these early DEXs, IDEX, Ether Delta, that we're kind of relying on the same thing. People had to come in and provide active liquidity rather than passive liquidity. But then again, the space has changed so much. Are we in a position now with enough liquidity, with enough interested institutions to where, hey, it's finally time to have greater capital efficiency, tighter spreads, all those kinds of things. Interesting to think about.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't think there's enough liquidity yet, because how on earth do we have the kind of internal funding rates of crypto, these rates on perpetuals, the borrow lens? How do we get 20% annualized, 30% annualized, 100% annualized rates on USD, USDC if this thing is amply capitalized? I think there is so much room for more institutional capital, risk capital to flow in here. It's like scary. And I think that's a good thing. I do think that it's bullish, but I think it can go both ways.
Sure.
But the bottom line is that money, once there's trust in the system and you get experience. Now remember, DeFi itself is, it's a handful of years old. It's if you consider Bitcoin as so there's still experimentation. When you talk about traditional finance people, they're still looking at it as an experiment. But the ones that are willing to take some risk, there is such outsized return potential for $1 of risk that you're taking that I think we're going to see a tremendous amount of liquidity flow in. And I'm thinking more on the the derivatives side of things, centralized even. On the DeFi side, I think that, equally as much opportunity, potentially more. So we're going to see money continue to flow into this. We are seeing institutions that are actively engaged. I just saw a headline this morning that Millennium Funds, Izzy Englander, that they showed that they had a position in GBTC, the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, in March, which means that they had the ARB trade on, that they've taken some pipe on. Grayscale Trust was trading at massive premiums to Bitcoin, and now it's trading at a 15% discount. So I think some big traditional finance guys really took some pipe on that. But the bottom line is they're actively looking. Not only are they looking, but they're engaging. So when they start seeing just some basis trades where you're buying spot and selling futures and doing stuff like that, we're going to see a lot more capital flow in, which will then really help with liquidity and spreads and all of that. So
Sure.
I think it's coming, but we've got a tremendous amount of room for more capital to flow in.
No, 100%. So, I mean, you mentioned AVAX. I'm going to mention MPH right here. It's something I've been in for a long time. I do think it's at an interesting point right now. There's kind of a wedge structure going on the USD chart. That wedge resolves early May. They're working on MPH V3. One of the biggest drawbacks of MPH is it's only been able to attract like $40 to $50 million of TVL because the protocol itself isn't that easy for these yield aggregators and such to integrate with. And the reasoning behind that is there used to be a requirement to where when you actually withdrew your liquidity, and for anybody that doesn't know what this is, it's a fixed rate protocol. So it's a DeFi primitive. They can build structured products on top of it. They're working on that right now. We haven't really seen structured products in crypto yet, but they are coming. I originally heard about this from CMS, which I hold in high regard. But when they do that, it's going to be insanely easy for Badger, Yearn, et cetera, to build on top of this and also to use the MPH vaults in their strategies because fixed rate yields are attractive. In traditional finance, people love fixed rate. So it's
couldn't agree more.
It's something that hasn't really caught on yet in DeFi. And I do think that these guys are at the forefront of that. And they said that they believe they can get this V3 out before Uniswap V3. And what's really interesting about that is Uniswap V3 is dropping when? Early May, right? Not the optimism, but just the Uniswap V3 on L1. So I'm wondering, looking at this kind of wedge structure, I'm wondering if there's, a scenario here to where this is going to come out and, we can finally attract a lot more TVL and go to the moon. The token economics are certainly good. So that's my end of stream shill of the day.
Nice.
Oh, nice. I didn't know they were into fixed yields. I love fixed yields.
Yeah, that's
as a narrative.
And fixed rates
as a narrative, as
you can do so many things with them. So
yeah, no, I love it. I'm gonna put them on my list again. I had them; they've been on and off my watch list since I didn't buy them at 43. But I love your theory here. I mean, the location's good. We've got a breakout, we've got a retest, we've got a reload zone, and we got a wedge. So I'm gonna keep an eye on this one.
Fingers crossed. Pray for me.
Fixed rate. Yeah, man, fixed rate yields. I honestly think I was just writing about it recently. Actually, fixed rate yields are going to be massive because if they don't get smashed down by usage, what's that?
There's a couple of people working on fixed rate yields in DeFi, but
yeah. Oh, there's a lot, but these guys, not a lot, but there's a good handful.
These guys are the grassroots, fair launch version that's not super, infested and infiltrated by VCs or anything like that. Somebody said, how do you provide a fixed yield? Well, you actually use bonds. They've got zero coupon bonds, floating rate bonds, and things like that, where people can actually come in and leverage long the yields themselves. So, like, let's say I was super bullish on the compound yields. I thought there was going to be a huge demand for a certain asset. I could come in, I could purchase these floating rate bonds, and I could fill that fixed rate for the guy that actually deposited the asset that's generating all the yield. And in return, I get his future yield because I purchased that bond. I purchased the rights to his actual yield. And in doing so, I fill him at, maybe 4 or 5%, depending on what he's actually got.
Oh, that's interesting. That's a totally different twist than BlockSwap Networks was the other one that kind of put me onto this topic, and they're using POS yields rewards, right? So like the speculating that ETH2 and Polkadot and Algorand and Tezos, this rise of this POS universe. So you know what? It just got me thinking. Let's do a video in the next few weeks just on fixed rate options. There's a lot out there. I want to do research on it. I'll share what I got. We'll make a video. Okay, last week I talked about ID. I don't even know if I want to switch to it, like away from it this week. I'm certainly not selling any. It's still my biggest bag. This thing has just been, this thing's been doing great, but it's going, man. It's going, and it's almost like it's a fun thing to dissect this chart because it was picture perfect. First of all, Gunny, he had to go early today, guys, but his thing, I forget the name of the pattern, Rob, maybe you know it, but where it comes out like this and then just gets boring for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
He has like the Gartner cycle or something, but basically picture perfect of that. And then right in this reload zone, just hanging out. And that's what I was watching for. I say, look, when the volume ticks up, let's keep an eye. And it popped up right here. I mean, one little blip in the middle, and I added, but this little double uptick and then another one here. I mean, if I'm not buying that retest and adding there, like, what am I doing? And, they're partnered with FTX, so I consider it part of my SAM basket, sort of off the radar there. I expect really big things from these guys. So I'm gonna just do YOP this week because y'all already know I'm in ID. That's boring. This is one. I just featured them in the newsletter today because I spoke to their founder today. I mean, they got a lot of stuff coming up. With not to mention the V0 of their app launch, 50% of their circulating supply is now staked, locked, and the vault's just filled up again. The newest release of those, mine are staked for 90 days, so I can't dump on you yet. But I don't really plan to rush. We'll see where June's at, but that's when I get unlocked. But I mean, look at this thing. Same kind of thing came out, had its little boring cycle. They announced here they were going to be a launchpad aggregator, so you're getting exposure to 9 different launchpad private or whatever IDOs in their own sort of exclusive, their own exclusive YOP pool. Certain amount of those IDOs are all going to be siphoned off to the YOP holders for like whatever this. I've never actually used one of those launch pads like polls. You have to hold a certain amount and then it's a lottery. But basically, you can now access all 9 with just YOP. So that's pretty dope. And that's why they pumped like this. And now they're just, they've been chilling. Nice uptick in volume. Same thing I'm always looking for. Breakout, confirm bullish structure, dip back in the reload zone. Let's go. This one looks great.
Let's go.
We got a
that's
user
it.
looking for
That's my week.
Unilend. Can you pull up Unilend?
I haven't heard that name.
Oh,
UFT. It's actually one of the green coins on my my list today, with everything down 8 to 10%, typically across the alt.
yeah, 8%, almost 9% on the day, 21 cents up. Oddly enough, this is another one of the teams I was speaking to last week. Chandresh out in India, I believe. He is a really smart guy. This team's doing some big stuff. They've got some flash loan stuff coming up where they're basically be offering that as a service. A lot of firsts, and they're on Binance now. So they've already kind of, they got that coveted Binance listing. This is a nice pre-sale that was floating around last summer.
I think we could probably see where the Binance listing came in. If I had to guess.
Can you guess?
Yeah.
Can you guess? Yeah. No, I got very high expectations for this project. I'm glad someone brought it up organically because I'm always happy to talk about it. But yeah, this one's coming into some zones, and I don't even know that I would take that candle. I don't love that candle, or sorry, that wick for this reload zone. Probably just take that right here. So, might have a level to come back, but you know where it is right now, Rob?
Where is
it's
it?
in your favorite zone.
Ooh.
It's in your favorite zone. I don't even have to, before I draw it, I can see it. It's just right in the pump chaser zone, baby. So that, eyes on UFT for me.
All right. Blade Runner, are you still in options on a daily? He's asking me. I'm not trading options on the daily right now, mainly because I'm working pretty much around the clock on an options AMM. that I think we're going to be really, really excited to talk about soon.
When are we going to have more information about that? Because, you know, I've gotten a lot of people, you know, that have been asking me the same, you know, when.
Yeah, I know. All I can say is soon, TM.
All right.
Very, very soon. We are, I don't know, I can't say exact dates, but we're very, very close. It's always hard when you're talking about even development work and all that to put a real date on things. But all I can tell you is the work, the development, the progress is tremendous. We've got a ridiculous team working on everything, and it's soon. But I'm looking at the options market on the daily. I'm obviously following Hxro's TixWix options very closely. I'm looking at prices. I'm looking at obviously opportunities, but I'm not. You know, when I was a market maker, it was a 24/7 type of thing, and I was, you know, pushing quotes and just living it. I'm not. Right now, I'm more working on some of the decentralized and the network AMM stuff. But you know, if you ever have any questions or want to shoot the shit about options, Blade Runner, you know, you can ping me. You can find me in one of the Hxro Telegram rooms. You can find me in the Discord for Hxro Labs. You know, come at me, bro. Let's talk options, because I could do that all day.
There's that TixWix Telegram. I think this might be a good time to plug that. There's some good options guys in there, at least in my non-options experience. Yeah. I hopped in, I didn't know what they were saying, so I assume they trade options.
I do think that we probably need to migrate that Telegram over to our Hxro Labs Discord. I don't know if you guys are in the Hxro Labs Discord. I posted the link on my Twitter a couple of times. I've been meaning to make a new pinned post just so it's easy to access, but I think we have over 600 people in there now. The organization's great. I've actually got my own channel where I post, I mean, every single day, tons of charts.
You've been posting a lot.
Updates.
You've been putting me to shame, dude. I have been.
Yeah. You know, it felt like kind of a burden at first, but the more and more I got into it, you know, the more I felt like it was helping me work through my own thoughts. And it's cathartic in a sense. You know, I like to go in there and, you know, without having people ask a million questions or comment on what I'm doing, you know, just be able to post my raw thoughts. So I've really been enjoying that. But you know, our community on Discord's growing a lot. The organization is there. You know, whether you want to get in there to show your bag, there's a channel for that, or ask questions, or, you know, blah blah blah. You should get in there and check that out, guys.
For sure. Yeah, that link is at the bottom. It's on the YouTube. So at the bottom of each stream or in the info, you can find the Discord link to the Hxro Labs Discord.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. I've been getting tagged in there quite a bit, guys, asking questions in that, and you got to do that because I don't read through. Obviously, there's a lot of channels, but you know, it's just clean. There's no spammy bot shit. There's good mod teams in there. Like I'm happy with it, and I just got to do what you're doing. I got to take my process and fit it into kind of brain dumping into that channel, because I agree with you. Once you kind of force yourself to do a little content around something, like when I make a video on a project, I'm like, wow, fuck, now I know about a bunch about that project. Like it just helps get your thesis out there, which is why I like Twitter. Okay, guys, so we've had a few suggestions. One guy in the chat asked about EWT, and I decided, okay, we're going to squeeze this one in because I did chart it on a previous stream. And I was basically just saying it looks fucking good. And what has it done since then? Well, it's just broken out of this wedge, or at least this top downtrend. I don't know how valid I feel about this bottom one. But we've gotten up through this downtrend. We've retested it confluent with the 382 pump chaser zone. And this VPVR with all this volume traded up top tells me price wants to visit up there again. It wants to go see, you know, how's this feel? Price discovery up to that end. I'd expect to see this fill, and I say that as I don't have a bag. It's on KuCoin. I was a little lazy about moving funds, but I think I'm going to do that because I'd be shocked if this isn't trading up in the next few weeks based on, I mean, look at, okay. We should probably wrap. I could go all day. But man, dominance just breaking down. I don't know how it's already off the. It's almost.
I know it's almost like, when I feel like we're in risk on, and when dominance is breaking down, the only thing I don't like about a day like today, I'm looking at my alt USD watch list, and this is a little tip, and maybe weird, but it's helpful for me. I've got a couple different crypto watch lists in TradingView. One is alt/BTC. Another is alt/USD. And I actually have a third, alt/ETH. But I look at each of these watch lists, and depending on if we get a move in Bitcoin, whether it's up or down, and I go to alt USD and I see, what is the overwhelming color in this thing? Where are the moves? And then I go over and look at alt USD and I look at alt ETH, and it gives you that kind of temperature taking of what are alts doing with respect to Bitcoin? What are they doing with respect to USD? And today I'm looking at Bitcoin that's down like 3.8% on the daily. And most of my alts in my alt USD watch list are down way more than 3.8%. I mean, they're like most of them, I'd say close to 50% of them are down over 10% today. So it is like, that's just a little tip. I don't know how many of you guys do that also, but it seems like
I like that. Yeah, I've got the watch list set up. I just never used them that way as far as like a temperature gauge.
Yeah.
But I've got the USD one here. You can see, like you said, double digits across the board with a few exceptions and a couple of greens. Always a few greens in the bull market.
Yep.
But yeah, I like that as an idea. Actually, I got to say, yeah, KMD got filled on KMD today. Another one of our stream tokens from last week. But yeah, there's some green out there.
And that's
I really set. Yeah. Go ahead.
One sec. And that next thing is, keep in mind those ones that are green on a day like today, when most alts are down 10+%. I'm looking at 1 inch, that's up 6%. I don't know if news came out on that. I'm looking at one of Messi's bags, Hxro, AKRO, Acropolis. That thing's up 10% today in USD terms on a day when everything's getting shit on. Engine.
Bell. Yeah, I saw E&J's up. Check out Bell. Bell is up a bit too.
Yeah.
Versus Bitcoin actually, but 8% on USD. Yeah. No, that's a really good point. I mean, if anything, I don't know, man. It's just so bullish. And you know me, I'm always here. I'm going to preach caution. I'm going to say, whatever. If I think it's shit, it's going to say it's shit. But and I could be wrong. Always could be wrong. But man, these alts, Q2, it's written in my mind, and I gotta check myself before I wreck myself and not get too exposed and not sell if it, whatever. But it's looking so fucking good, Rob. It's just. And then I don't know.
Looks like Coinbase. Coinbase listings are the catalyst for the outperformance today, kind of across the board.
I mean, I guess it comes down to like, if I am not going to take some risk and put it on in this market right now on these assets, when am I going to do it?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I have to go all in. I've got a nice little cash position. I've got some I've got some things that are not at risk. I put some cash in the bank. Like I'm not going like, lose my shirt deep, but I'm risk on. Oh, I'm risk on as fuck.
Yeah.
And not on leverage, not on dumb shit. I'm taking positions in coins in sizes that I can add. I should probably preface that for anyone who's listening, like, because I usually am fairly even keel, but right now I'm very risk on, and all I'm thinking about is, this today is like, yes, give me that dip, man.
Yeah, I
know that's very cliche. A lot of people say it. I admittedly don't. I suck at buying dips in bull markets historically. Yeah. So maybe I just figured it out at the top. We'll find out.
The one thing I would say, and you mentioned you're not on leverage, like for the viewers out there and the homies out there, if you're trading the altcoins on leverage, which believe me, these new products like on FTX and Binance, it's really great to be able to use collateral to trade this stuff. But the one thing that I just urge you to do is, I mean, you don't have to go over 5x leverage on altcoins. You don't have to go over 3x. I honestly think 3x is kind of pushing it. It's like almost the cap, because these things, I'm looking across the board, like strong names that have performed, like the DeFi index itself is down 10%. You know, like a 10x levered position there, you're washed out, you're done, you're liquidated. So just like I urge you, these products are great and they're useful, and I think they're good tools, but just you don't have to do these 20x's, 50x's, 100x's. I would strongly advise against it, because the rogue moves you get on really it's noise when it comes to altcoins can wipe you out. So
yeah, look at Filecoin. You just reminded me, like Filecoin, I actually was long it. We were on stream talking about it here. And there was a scalp in here and it got stopped out on this dump, but then it even dumped further. And what was that? Just noise, like you said, but it's violent noise. It's steep wicks because everyone's levered up.
Yep.
And then as soon as they're all cleared out, that's us. I hate to say it, guys. That's you. That's me. That's us getting stopped out and losing all flavor for a long on Filecoin. And then look at this fucking thing.
I mean, it's also
so even if you do catch it, it's not easy. You could be at the right coin.
There's
right
no
time and still
one
get
in
stopped
there.
out, money.
There's no one in there to keep that in line. I mean, it just doesn't. There's no one in there on Binance and FTX that are going to stop the thing from, if there's a liquidation, from really puking. And when, you know, we all tend to trend together for the most part, and when everyone gets levered long, you see some wicks on these altcoin perpetuals that are like nasty daggers. And just, you know, I would urge you, and I know Messi's always been one who said no leverage on altcoins, period. You don't need it. They're levered already. And I'll be honest, it's probably the way to go, but I do know a lot of people who are able to trade leveraged altcoins successfully. So, you know, I'm never one to say don't do it, but if you do, you really need to exercise like just great caution and just diligence with your sizing. That's key.
Yeah. Well, and the worst part is if you come into that, maybe you got some margin money in your futures account, whatever, but you're not sure, you're on the fence. When are you going to go in hard with leverage? When price is going up, which is the worst time to go in with leverage. I mean, sure, there's guys fancy pants that breaks out ETH to new highs. They take a leverage long and they just ride it for 2K. That is going to happen, and they'll be sure to tell you about that story. But the majority of the time, and this is from some self, you know, like experience, the time you end up going, oh, I got to get long. Ooh, I want to get longer. It's when it's just fucking pumping. And even if it's going to go, like, look at Algo here. This is just on the margin, BTC margin pair. But this, I remember this because I had a long on it. I closed it, kind of wimped out. But then I noticed a few days later, I was like, oh, thank God, because I didn't have a stop because it's isolated margin and my fucking, you know, my liquidation was way below. But I would have got liquidated here. And so everyone did. I mean, this is just a super liquidation candle, right back up, and the party goes on. And nobody talked about that on Twitter. You know, nobody's bragging about it, but some guys got washed out that day.
Yeah.
So I hear you, man. It's scary. It's scary. I don't fuck with leverage in altcoins too often. And if I do, sub 5x for sure.
Well, guys,
all right, dude. Well, yeah. This is good. We've got a lot of coins, a lot of names we're chewing on right now. In a nutshell, I just think everything just looks great. But let's end on maybe this Bitcoin range, you know, because that is going to rule the day right now. And I like to sit here and say, oh yeah, we're going to go to local retail zone. It'll be all good. But the dips that might come with that could be really painful, and they could last days. So I got to be prepared to feel like I shit my pants when we get down here with some of those altcoins I'm holding.
Tune in next,
but we'll be back
because that is IDO Coinbase listing the 14th. Come back. We're gonna be hanging. We're gonna be watching. I'm thinking.
Yeah, let's get back to studio here. yeah, so we'll be back next week. I'm really excited to see what that Bitcoin range looks like. If it smacks the reload zone right up there and then just goes, you're going to hear me singing. Otherwise, we'll see. Yeah, you can follow us on Twitter at Real Hero Labs. And follow each of our own handles. I usually just shout myself out because I'm on solo, but I won't do that now because we're all here. But y'all know how to find us at Real Hero Labs. Tweet today has all the tags in it. We got a Discord. The link is in the description. I'll be back on Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern to do a solo stream for an hour and should have a video coming out tomorrow as well. Talking about something, short lists, ranges, Bitcoin, whatever. It's been an absolute pleasure. Again, guys, I should probably look at the camera. We're back on. How you doing, Messi? You want to take us out?
So, everybody, thank you for coming today. Buy my bags, buy Random Tasks bags, join our Discord. I will be tweeting that Discord link out later. If you don't follow me on Twitter, you can find me at Cryptomessiah. I'm sure we can get that Discord link tweeted out from our Real Hero Labs Discord as well. But something, make sure you trade from a position of strength. Goodbye.
That's it.
There you go.
Sounds good, bro. Cheers, guys.